Okay, I'm back with Us as People, but I'm reading from the day titled Us as Black People. Over the years, black people have endured a lot of trials and tribulations. First thing was slavery, which existed in the United States of America in the 18th and 19th century. As slaves, the black people had to live on white people's land. They didn't get any money for the work, and living conditions were very bad. They had to work in the plantations, picking cotton from sun up to sundown. Most women cooked, cleaned the house, and raised the children of their white masters. The black males were carpenters, masons, farm laborers, and they planted harvest crops. In the bigger American cities, the slaves there was free, but they had very few rights. Arkansas terrorists had heated debates over the issue of slavery. On January the 4th, 1836, the convention met to write a constitution. On most points, they agreed, but once again, the issue of slavery caused more heated debates. Finally, a constitution permitting slavery was formed and submitted to Congress. Again, the slave issues was a point of contentment. But in length, Congress voted to admit Arkansas to the Union as a slave state. If the blacks didn't do what they were told, they were beaten, sometimes whipped with a whip. Some of the black people tried to run away, but if they get caught by their plantation owner or his friends, they got killed or hung. Slaves was considered to be their slaves' owner's property. Sometimes the slaves were sold to another plantation. When slaves are took to a warehouse to be sold, they wore their best clothes to try and attract the buyers. They had to leave their family and friends behind. The white people referred to the slaves as nigger, monkey, and mud people and coons. Slavery in the United States began in the early 1600s. By 1860, there were about 3,954,000 Negro slaves in the United States. Nearly one-third of the total population of the of the 15 southern slave states. In recent times, people had slaves. The Hebrews had their own law that after 6 years the slaves should be set free. Poor Greek men sold their children into slavery. By the 1300s, slavery in Europe disappeared. In Spain, King Charles I in 1915 started the slave trade. By 1770, British ships were carrying about half the slaves brought in America. A law passed in 1807 against the slave trade. Slavery itself continued until the end of the Civil War. Most Latin Americans abolished slavery as soon as they had won independence. Brazil did not stop slavery until 1818. Despite new attitudes and the abolishment of a widespread slave trade, slavery still exists in the world. In the United States of America, President Abraham Lincoln ended slavery in 1865. The Civil War is what ended slavery. A lot of slave owners was very upset. Even after slavery had ended, the blacks had to go to separate schools from the whites. The blacks couldn't eat in the same restaurants as the whites or use the same restrooms. At the restaurants, the blacks had to eat at the back of the restaurant outside. Some of the white people put gasoline in glass bottles and put a piece of paper into the bottle, lit the piece of paper with a match, and threw it through black people's homes, churches, and businesses. In 1954, the Supreme Court ends desegregation. Means the blacks was able to go to school with the whites. African American life in Bowie County. The first African Americans that lived in Bowie County was in the mid-1830s. By the 1840s, Bowie County became known in the great state of Texas. Slaves were moved into Bowie County to protect their owners' investment. African Americans worldwide celebrate Juneteenth, which was the day that President Abraham Lincoln freed slaves. After the Civil War, many slaves could not find houses or jobs. In Bowie County during the 1900s, there were no black farm owners. Before the 1990s and after the Civil War, any slaves who lived in Bowie County had to work for a white family or their master. In the South, for Bowie County was starting to educate slaves. In the 1880s to 1888, there were 19 African American schools in Bowie County. There was only 11 teachers. The male teachers were made more than the female teachers. A lot of progress was made for the black community by the 1890s in Bowie County. Many schools were being added. Both male and female were being paid more money. In 1905, colored people had more progress in life within the church. From the age group of 21 to 31, African American met in Bowie County in World War I. There are many observations that help many colored people gain job skills, guidance, and decision-making skills. In 1954, many African Americans tried to enter Texarkana College, but was turned around at the door. The African American students did not meet the requirements to attend Texarkana College. In 1956, another judge qualified the colored students to be enrolled at Texarkana College. Then the school board decided that the black students take a general aptitude test. The test failed all the black students except two. During the first day of class for the two black students, it was hell. White people marching around the college with signs saying, "We don't want to go to school with no colored person." The two black students being led into the building by police officers. Both the black students ended up dropping out of school. In 1964, a black couple became teachers at a white school in Bowie County. The two teachers were treated equal. One was named president of a very important organization at the school. From Bowie County, many black African Americans went on to do big things. Some of the blacks was Scott Joplin, who became a musician, Dr. Growling U. Jamison, created, owned, and operated the first black medical clinic and pharmacy in Bowie County. It was called the Jamison Sanctuary. Inside the Jamison Sanctuary, the African American people had a coffee shop, a cafe, a club, a cleaner's barbershop, and a newspaper stand. Later on, a business lead and a literary was added inside the building only for colored people. There were two sisters from Bowie County. One was really great music instructor and a pianist. The other sister became the first black model in Paris. Antonio Metro Smith owned a real estate company in Texarkana. He was the publisher of the Dallas Express. He was also the executive secretary of the Dallas Negro Chamber of Commerce. Later in his life, he was director of the Hall of Negro Life at the Texas Cemetery Cinemax Exposition. Sometimes people called him Mr. Civil Rights or Mr. Organization. Because of his help and work with African Americans, Willie Davis, a defense end for the Green Bay Packers in 1960, was number 87 from Bowie County. After the second largest continent, Africa used to be called the Dark Continent due to it being unknown by Europeans. Africa has the world's largest river and the largest desert. African people in the 1930s was ruled by Europeans. Nigeria is committed to be the largest city in Africa. All the countries in Africa belong to the United Nations. Some African leaders are Jumont Kenyatta, William V.S. Tubman, Julius Narada, Goldman Abdul Nassis, Norban Majara, and Haile Census. Some people in Africa lived in rural areas. Most Africans are farmers and some are herders. The soil is thin and poor in Africa. Africa dancing is one of the highly developed African arts. Corn is a major crop in eastern and southern Africa. Some of the farmers grow root crops. African women do the farming while the men take care of the legal and political affairs. The women plant wheat and harvest crops. They grind the grain and cook meals. Bananas are considered to be a big crop in Africa. Yarborough traders sell grain and other produces in busy cities markets. Silkly village in Saudi has houses with walls and made of mud plastered over branches. Modern homes in a small village near Kingston, the capital, have corrupted iron roofing. Wall section of Canada, Nigeria, East Close, other residence neighborhoods. True. Niggers represent the largest grain of Nigeria people in Africa. Bushman hunters live in the small barns in the barrow of southern Africa. Pentagons hunt and gather roots and fruits in the forests of the Congo River basin. Asians are numerous in southern Africa. Many Indians live in the big part of the city called Dunbar. Europeans manage farms in Rodens, a city of British settlement in Africa. Barbara Timbers of northern Africa form a large group of Mediterranean Caucasians. Niger Corindafu languages are spoken over a large part of Africa. These Kashus languages are usually click sounds to form words. Afro-Asiatic languages are spoken in northern Africa. Christianity was spread throughout Africa by missionaries. After 35 million Africans belongs to varieties Christian churches in the tribute religious people often offer satisfaction to a god. Muslims in Africa pray to Allah 5 times each day. A college educator is provided in most countries of Africa. A shortage of trained teachers is a major problem in almost all African countries. Providing new opportunities for education is now one of the major goals of most African governments. The education of women hold skilled jobs such as nursing. Africa's highest education is a way to raise product. Mass headdress is worn by the Kobuk boys at tribute ceremonies that intimidate them into manhood. The decorations are made of beads and of shells called kowars. Bula ancestors figures is used for the ancestor spirit. A Brazil memory head honors a rule of the old kingdom of Benin. In Nigeria, rack painting flourished among the ancestors, the wells of the Sahara and Kilabo Desert. A similarity knife from the upper Cargo River area is typically one of the many objects made in Africa that are prized as works of art. Colorful painted clay walls surround the homes of chiefs of the Untitled tribe of Southern Africa. A beaded headdress from Carmonade is made so skillfully that the designs seem to have been painted in heavy rain fall in the tropical forests of the Congo River basin, the home of African penguins. The dry suburban never has over 10 inches of rain a year. Africa's tallest mountains where's that at again? Tallest mountains, 19,340 kilometers, lies near the equator in Tanzania. Lake Victoria is Africa's largest lake. Victoria Falls is one of Africa's great perennial source of power. Gorillas are the tallest of all animals but live in the dry grasslands of Africa. Lions are among the strongest and feared of Africa's wild creatures. Wild ashes of the African deserts are related to the domestic donkeys. Leopards is the forest, and plains are coming, grateful and powerful. Many oak dwellers work hard and use great skill to make a living in Africa. Cattle herding is a way of life for many people who live on the grasslands of Africa. It is an important crop in eastern Africa. Modern farm machinery is used on many farms in eastern Africa. Concordie is one of West Africa's leading cash crops, manufacturing and mining of iron ore. Copper mines, lumber processing industry, textile mills, and the rich gold and uranium deposits. Radio broadcasting has increased rapidly in Africa since 1950. Motor traffic in Africa is increased even though most roads are rough and paved. Africa's largest railroad system links all parts of South Africa. Dugout canes provide transportation for both goods and passengers in tropical African rivers and lakes. North Africa use camels to haul goods in the Sabero, a Brazil head made at elk in southwestern Nigeria in the 1200s, and among the finest example of African sculpture. A product of early Africa is a Brazil figure from the 1950s. It came from the ancient kingdom of Benin. Africa had only 2 independent countries in 1914. Ethiopia and Libya. The rest of the country was under colonial rulers. Sudan is the largest country in Africa. Saudi Arabia has a coastline on the Red Sea that is 400 miles. The country's government has been overthrown twice since Saudi Arabia became independent in 1956. The desert region, the steppe region, the savannic region, and the equatorial region are Saudi Arabia's 4 main regions. The water supply is what all of Saudi Arabia is surrounded by. Egypt in Valley, northern Saudi Arabia. New Guinea has 3 population decisions. Scientists advantage has affected a lot of people's life in New Guinea. A lot of homes in New Guinea are on high platform for protection. Niger is a thinly populated country in Western Africa. Niger is a republican and it belongs to 4 main groups: the Olympians, the Trinitarians, the Remptons, and the Hayes. Mostly all of Niger is above sea level. Niger River is the 3rd largest river in Africa. Nigeria has more people than any other country in Africa. The population is like 62 million. Nigeria is a republican and a rich in natural resources. Togo is the smallest country in Western Africa. The form of government is presidential reign. The capital of Togo is Lome. The official language of Togo is French. The area is 21,622 square miles. The chief product of Togo is agriculture. The flag of Togo has 5 horizontal strips. The colors are green, yellow, white, and red. The farmers in Togo live plotted to and from the market. Each plotted is in a cone-shaped basket. Each has an air hole in the top. The Togo government has overthrown by army officers in 1967. 2 land regions decided the Togo Mountains. The women in Togo carry goods on their heads in baskets. Tyrese El Havana was the ruler of Haiti. He was a black revolutionist and general. Him and his parents were slaves. In order for him to become leader, a revolt broke out in 1791. Salvage True. She was a black abolitionist and advocate for black women. She was born in New York as a slave. Under state law, she became free in 1827. She was tried to improve her life and other blacks while working in Washington, D.C.